She started team building her first week because I just said, Lizzie, who can you share your excitement with? Go do that right away. And she shared it with Sharon Potter, who is now her first of many team leaders. And it is just an honor to work with you and get to know you personally over the time. And everyone is just going to be so blessed to hear from you. So, Lizzie Brown.
You know what? I cannot stand back here because I'm 5 feet tall.
Stand on the money box.
So, except I might just like fall over. So, first of all, it's a real honor and a privilege to be here, and to be asked to speak is extremely humbling. So, I really appreciate that opportunity. So, thank you so much. Thank you to Jerry and Jim for all that you're doing. And where you go?
We can't hear you.
There's a microphone on the beside the podium on the floor.
Use this?
Yeah.
All right, does that work? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
A little closer. Okay, y'all just give me instructions along the way. Lead me along this path, okay? I've never done this before. So thank you, Jerry and Jim, so much. It's been a pleasure to get to know you guys and see what you're doing for the company. I didn't come through the hard days, so I want to extend just an applause to all of you ladies who have weathered the storms. My hat goes off to you to have done that. So, and you kept the path going so that we could be here. So I do want to recognize our team, which is the Bridge Builders team that's here. I think you're kind of all in this corner, and so if you guys can wave or stand or whatever, and I can barely see you back there, but there's Connie Canton, Sharon Potter, Vanessa Lee, Angela Trujillo, Margie Dunphy, Jerica De La Garza, Rosa Ramirez, Lorelei Bowder, Gail Canton, Lori Newberry. Did I forget anybody? And there they are. So we're all newbies and we're all learning this together, so that's great. I want to extend an extra congratulations to my sister, Sharon Potter, for making team leader in April. And she is my sidekick, my encourager, my best challenger, and my best friend. So it's so much fun. If you don't have a sister or best friend doing this with you, go do that right away, because that's so much more fun if you have somebody to share it with that you love having next to you. I also want to thank Allison Garner, because I absolutely could not be here if it wasn't for her. So thank you for your encouragement and your mentoring and your patience with me. So I consider you not just my senior director, but a friend. So thank you very much. So I started last August, and thank you, Elise. I started last August, and I'm a corporate lead. So that should just be an encouragement to us. When we make team leader, we get to get corporate leads, and when you get your corporate leads, you never know when the next one might be someone who really loves what you're doing. So that's me. I'm a corporate lead. I actually sold Discovery Toys for a very short time in the early 80s. Too bad I didn't stick with it. I wish I had. So I love the toys. My kids grew up on them. I have 4 children from like 32 to almost 22. 2 great grandchildren. This is my granddaughter Emma, and then I have a little grandson that's not quite 1, that's Ezra. So I wish I had stuck, but I didn't. So I've come back. Now, I mean, everybody should turn 50 and start a business. I think that's like absolutely wonderful. So, like Allison already told you, I called her up. She literally, I think I may have signed up while we were on the phone. I'm like, hold on, we get the computer, and we clicked, and I joined, and had no idea that wasn't the normal. So, now I know. So she invited me to that first Shining Stars call. I have to say, I am so thankful for star 6 on the phone, because I was really nervous and I didn't know what the meeting was going to be like, but she said, just hit star 6 and it meets you. I'm like, I can do this. But I was so inspired listening to all the ladies share. It was so positive, it was so encouraging. They would just seem so relational that I was like, this is going to be wonderful. So the next day I jumped on a TPI call, although I do have to confess, it wasn't until January that I figured out that meant teach, play, and inspire. I never could figure out that TPI, but so I jumped on that call, and listen to about preschools, and I was like, oh wow, we can do that too. I had no idea, so that was really exciting. And then I just took the first couple of weeks to devour the website and just read and read and read to try to get my mind around what it is I had joined, because I didn't actually know completely. So then, like Allison said, I shared with my sister Sharon, who has a full-time job and many things on her plate, and she called back the next day and said, I'm going to join too, I'm going to do it with you. And I was like, you have a job. But she's like, no, we're going to do this together, this is going to be great. So she joined, and that was wonderful. Jerica that's here, I looked at her and I'm like, I just think this will be so great for her. So I shared it with Jerica, and she was my first hostess at my party. And after that, she's like, I want to do this too. And so they're both here. And then I went to the Jump Start well, I'm jumping ahead. So I just worked through last fall, and I just tried to get the Success Start. It's like, I don't even have a clue what kind of goal to set, but you set one for me, so I'll just go for that, and maybe along the way I'll figure it out. So I just went for the Success Start, and of course it's easier in the fall. So we did that. And then in December, Allison calls me up and tells me, well, I guess it was the end of November, that I could make team leader. And I'm like, well, what is that? And she starts very patiently explaining to me. I said, are you sure I want to do that? She's like, well, she tried, no, you know, Lizzie, you don't have to, but you know, here would be some of the advantages if you did this. I'm like, okay. The great thing about Allison with me is she pushed me just enough, but not too much. Probably too much wouldn't have worked for me. So just enough to keep me moving forward. It didn't give me too much information ahead of time. That's something, I tend to give people too much information, so I'm trying to learn how to do that. So I became team leader after 4 months, and then went to Moms in Chicago, where I met a whole bunch of you, and just learned so much. It was just crazy. And I took away from that because we talked a lot about intentionality, and we talked a lot about having a culture on your team. And left go, what do you want your team to be known for? And we've been thinking about that. So I came back and we collaborated and we brainstormed. We're putting a Facebook group together since we're recruiting and adding to our team. But you know, if you've created Facebook, you have to have a name. So we don't have a name, and we can't have a Facebook group without a name. So we start talking, and the few that we have on the team, we're passing emails back. And we chose Bridge Builders because it kind of encapsulates what we want to do as a team. First of all, we want to build with each other and have connection and share resources and have the synergy with one another. But then just building between parents and their children and teachers and their students and therapists and their patients. There's all of these different realms that we get to touch, and helping them build a bridge to those. And Discovery Toys is just like, it's just amazing what you can do with what we have and how many different avenues it creates a pathway, and just shared life with people to affect moms. I mean, at parties, it's just amazing to me how much we get to talk about parenting and about life, and you know, it's just it weaves all in there that we actually are helping build lives and families through the midst of it. And that's very, very inspiring to me. I'm very purpose-driven. And so seeing all of that inside of Discovery Toys makes me so thrilled to get to do this. So we came back from Moms and grabbed hold of intentionality and team culture. And so then we started talking about our team culture, what were some of the things we wanted to be known for. And this is a work in progress. But intentionality was one, that we would be intentional about what we do, and we would encourage one another to be intentional. But collaborative and connected is very important to us, that nobody feels alone and isolated. We're spread out over many states, but through the Facebook, through team calls, just trying to make sure that we're connecting and we're collaborating. And also one of the things we're wanting is wisdom, is that the decisions we make and the way we make them, that there's wisdom inside of how we're moving. And so that's kind of, it'll probably change as we go along, but those are kind of where we are in our young state. Let's flip this little page over. So one of the things from the beginning for me was a philosophy that y'all heard me on that one call that I talked about, and that was to put into practice what I hear and what I learn. And so it's like, it almost seems like it would be disrespectful to listen to Pat Durham's call of preschools and learn all those things from all those years and not go try it. So just that's been kind of a philosophy in my life, is to people that I'm following, to figure you probably know more than I know. I'll try it. The very big challenge for me is it's made me go way, way, way outside my comfort zone, way down there. And I so appreciated what Mary Christian said about, does anybody like making phone calls? Because that's the hurdle that I have not quite made it over yet. I mean, it's still, I have to make myself. But pushing myself outside my comfort zone has been like from day one to now, and it hasn't stopped. And so that's the real challenge, is overcoming the fears. My heart doesn't race quite as much on my way to a party, or when I pick up the phone to make a call, it's not quite as bad as it was, so I'm getting closer, but it's still a challenge to stretch outside my comfort zone. But it's kind of like, if I'm here and I stretch myself here, then now I own this space over here too. And so every time I step over, my sphere of my life expands, because for me, this is like affecting my parenting and me as a wife and me in my church and all areas of life. So anyways, back to my journey. So when I passed into January, I went to Jumpstart in Dallas. I went to Moms in Chicago. It was so fabulous. By February, I started getting really tired. And I thought it was because I'd just been working so hard. Because I'd run really fast and really hard and put all my effort behind it. But I just wasn't recovering. And in March, I noticed I was running a random fever a lot. It would just come and go every day. So my husband was like, you have to go to the doctor. So eventually I ended up going to the doctor. So I was on my way to a stroller stride. Has anybody done a stroller stride party? Well, you go Google it. They're in all cities. It's moms that walk with strollers, and then they do something afterwards. And afterwards was me. And I put the toys out on a blanket. Everybody had under 1-year-olds. There were like 15 or 16 women there. Those babies sat quiet while I demoed the toys. I was like, wow, this is amazing. These young moms had never heard of Discovery Toys. I just didn't measure up cups, and their mouths dropped open. I was like, this is so much fun. I sold one tangible. So you would think, wow, that wasn't a successful party. But for me, it was my first real connected party. It only took me like 7 months to finally walk away from the party and go, I liked that. That was really like connected with those girls. But after it, I worked, made all the calls, and ended up being like a $250 party, which was pretty good starting with a tangible. And I got 3 parties, and my newest recruit was at that party. So you never really know is what I'm figuring out. But on my way there, the nurse called and she said, well, we got your blood work back. And you have parvovirus, which most of us only have heard about that with dogs, but there is a human version. And you have mono. And so it's like, no wonder I'm sleeping 3 hours in the afternoon, which is so rare for me, and I can't get over this. So it kind of put a pause on my life, kind of put things like in a different perspective. I have a friend last year who didn't rest with mono in her heart, her spleen, and her liver swelled, and it became life-threatening. So I was very aware that rest is life. There's no pill for it. There's supplements, so it kind of thrust me into a different place. But what I have found is it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Not in dollar signs, because definitely that kind of went down. But I'd gone so fast, and I built so fast that I now knew more than I knew then, and I got to stop and evaluate and think about, because we talk so much about having a reproducible process, and I believe in that, but once I had to pause, I realized everything I did wasn't reproducible. You know, I mean, I'm really generous and I'd like to give away toys, but I can't actually recruit people and expect them to give toys away, so I shouldn't do it. You know, it has to be reproducible. So I kind of just took time to evaluate, but I never disengaged. But because I'd recruited a team who Sharon Potter and all those girls back there worked so hard, things moved forward anyways. And so I helped Sharon get team leader, and I finished out the future leader program, and did what I could. Anything I had in the books, I went and did. I just didn't add to. So I started re-emerging around May or June, and now I'm feeling much, much better, and I'm very excited. But I actually look back and think that was really good for me, because I'm actually in this for the long haul. I want to be one of you ladies here. I want to be able to have that testimony of having been here so long. So that's why I decided to take it easy with my sister. Everybody should have one that says, "Have you rested today?" And my husband. So what I found the most important thing became when I got sick was, what is my motivation? What motivates me to do what I do? And for me, it's my love for people and my love for God. That just kind of is behind everything that I do. And so getting sick doesn't change that. So I was still motivated, and I was thinking of all the families. One of my dreams, she says, "What is your dream?" One of my dreams was to speak at a homeschool convention. Because I used to be homeschooled for about 16 years, and I wanted to go back and do that. And last weekend, I spoke at my first homeschool convention. I had so much fun. It was my dream fulfilled to get to do that. So I just challenge all of us to figure out what motivates us, and to dream that we'll get to do those things. I thought about it 2 weeks after I joined Scary Toys, and that seemed impossible that I would get to do that. And so I was excited to get to meet those people and do that. So that's my journey. Thank you.